Hello, I'm Tylee. You're joining me in the Hand Glass podcast where we talk about the hidden craft of popular people or objects. In today's episode, we're bringing a special guest named Ty Rea. Ty is a writer of many forms, from short stories, novels, to poetry. They've just recently released a chapbook titled The Cleansing of Love. If you're looking to heal and find hope, we'll give you a brief glimpse of what the book's contents contains. Okay, so let's get started. For this first poem, it doesn't really have any title, but it does have a source of inspiration. That's inspiration is from a golden shovel from Helen of Troy, written by Maria Zoccolo. So Cola. I'll start reading now. You've never heard of me? Yeah, 'cause I let the wind carry me instead and watch everyone pass by without a care. Upset him, the one who loves to bring me along in his thoughts. Stuck up. I want to scream. Listen, I'm trying to make the ones curious know I was there, lost in hope. I was the first on his arms. Late realization to move on. He just had a body. The golden shovel is I watch him bring up the first body. This was the only poem that couldn't get out of my head from that chapbook, so I just had to do something about it. That's how I got rid of the nagging feeling about writing about it. I'm not really superstitious, but I like to listen to what all the signs are pointing me to. For this poem, I stick close to the original piece, and what I added was the first body's perspective. It's also a double meaning with someone who was a shell of themselves in the relationship. When things were over, they realized what they had just lost. The original line was about a third person seeing the fish's body as a real person's corpse. So hopefully that gives you an insight. But honestly, everyone and anyone can interpret however they want. For my next one, it also doesn't have a title, but I hope you enjoy it. Originally, a place I don't know, hard to not be unaware, for it is all everyone sees. I like the enthusiasm and the food, the only thing I know, but it's enough for others don't know. Angry, when their treasures sold, struggles came at their door like prey. Fully disapprove their move, but in whispers I pray. Now, where I am, shout all glory of freedom and peace. At least we're all in one piece. Behind the streets, people lure the weak into their clutches, confusing bystanders, yelling, take a hike. No justice, but this place is home. Make it so. After Ruth Awad. I was reading Ruth Awad's poetry book recently titled Outside Joy, and a lot of her poems had to do with her ancestry. So I did an exercise that kind of took in that vibe. This poem is about being born Mexican American. Technically, you're more American than you are Mexican, but no one knows that. I mean, at least for me. As I was learning more about Mexico, I found more reasons to agree about my parents' decision to move to America. I mean, from what I've seen, it's really scary. Um, Despite all the violence and bad decisions, the culture is in the way they carry themselves, is both playful, funny, and strong. The food is great and the outfits are unique to them. My parents didn't teach me slang or how to convert US dollars into pesos or about the norms only in Mexico or much about their holidays. Although I did still celebrate a couple other holidays, like in Christmas we have Los Reyes Magos. Um, yeah, and that's honestly about it from what I can remember. I mean, Halloween and Santa Claus is American. They only permitted the food and the language to my sister and I. So that means like we didn't have cheeseburgers, but we had tamales in Christmas and tacos. The authentic kind, not the ones you can buy. Um, and of course, how to speak a bit of Spanish, but like I said, it wasn't really slang. That means like if I went to Mexico, I wouldn't really be able to speak like as if I was fluent or I was native to the place. It's more like I would I would be able to converse, but I wouldn't be able to understand everything. Um, but the same violence they had run away from is being found in America as well. Though right now it's especially true to immigrants. I often debate with myself if it's just better to go where we all look the same, but I feel like I shouldn't take that step. Because despite what people are saying, I have lived a very long time believing in contributing to the country, meaning to America. The feeling of patriotic or patriotism, I guess, that was installed to us since elementary. And teachers took a long time talking about taking your place in America either by force or with peace. Most by teachers, I mean most of the time history teachers. This is just a poem I want to leave for the future. But for now, I'll read a chapter from her book Outside the Joy that most aligns with this one. Suspended in teleferique above Harissa, I see our salt white lady reach for Beirut. Language is both the setter shade and mountain road, the bay licking the heels of Joni, my auntie, teaches me the Arabic word for cat. My American tongue and bare legs say I am Lebanese only in blood. She wants me to learn. If not for cables, we would drop to our deaths. If not for our blood, we'd be untethered. What saves us is the one small thing. A cable, a call to prayer, a new word, strung like a pearl in the mouth of a girl. So hopefully that inspired you to read both my story and Ruth Awad's as well. The next poem is called Buried Alive. It was inspired after reading Amanda Gorman's Faith and Fury poem. I'll start now. At this point, the world failed. No thanks to therapy, no thanks to talking, no thanks to listening. At this point, I don't care. Bury me for being a woman. Bury me for being brown. Bury me for being a loudmouth. At this point, is it worth living? But I can't turn my time fruitless. I can't receive your care, but I can't live fully. Turn the dream big wooden light stuck at the corner of my desk around so I can't read it. So I pause before I think I can actually reach it. Before my wooden light starts asking why it couldn't be a lantern or a flashlight or the disaster threatening to erase all lights from hopeful eyes. Bury me alive, if alive means I can breathe more words as a warm than a human. I'm not suicidal, but I don't mind being a sacrifice for someone who can't control their life. And be free of a false blame, then run in the night if they like the stars. Peace and kindness seemed so easy and great back when I was the size of a pillow, harmless and small, with no memories of all the wrong things we were taught. There's people breathing down my neck, trying to steal the breath I raised and bought, treating me like cattle. Instead of taking my eggs and milk, they're choking the breath out of me. With their traps, they wait for me to say something, and I'm there, treating my tongue like a snake. For every word that hurriedly burned from my stomach to outside. What once made me proud and different is something I need to hide, so no one can change where the clock's minute points next. I'm so damn tired of holding my tongue back. I'm not even looking to be happy, just a moment of content. And even that seems to be available to people with wrinkles equal to their money. Breathe in the rot, alive or dead, the rot's inside, and no one wants it, but I prefer to be buried alive. Maybe then you'll see a reflection of your own, and I'll be treated as a devil, dragging a sacrifice to the bottom, where the bells that couldn't be rung in time are lost and found with me getting buried alive. This one is really similar to the one after Ruth Awad. This one was also meant to be a bit political. Recently, I listened to a song by Lydia Bard titled Don't Cry for Your Daughters, and there was a line that stuck out, which was, You think you'd be a savior, but can't do as you preach. Eve, I'm sorry you must take the fall for the shame. I'd help you, but I risk taking your place. That last bit especially. Right now, I'm living at a time where it feels hard to do what's right when you can see all the ways it could go horribly wrong. Everything you try to protect ends up getting fed to the very source you try to fight. Because you stood out a little too much, and now you're being made into an example. And the feeling of not being able to do anything, especially when you feel powerless, you have no money to your name, no real talent to create it, or history, personality, or experts from people who admire you. It feels like you're cutting yourself without feeling the sharp edges of a knife. It feels like you're drowning just by looking at water. In this poem, I wanted it to take on that feeling heavily, and in writing it, I hope I can find some oxygen. Now I'll read a little bit of the poem that kind of inspired it, found in Call Us What We Carry. You will be told this is not a problem, not your problem. You will be told now is not the time for change to begin, told that we cannot win, but the point of protest isn't winning, it's holding fast to the promise of freedom, even when fast victory is not promised, meaning we cannot stand up to police if we cannot cease policing our imagination, convincing our that this work won't work when the work hasn't even begun, that this can wait when we've already waited out 1,000 suns. By now, we understand that white supremacy and the despair it demands are as destructive as any disease. So that was just a tidbit from Amanda Gorman's poem called Furry and Faith. Hopefully you go and check it out later. Now for my next poem, it's titled Rotten. Hand up, hand down, flinch. A pat in the shoulder, a friend behind you. Your heart quickens. Yes. Normal. Yes. Fine. You're ready. Let the apocalypse begin. This is your world. Someone holds the solution. You don't believe it. They're bored and go away. Chase it with one big bang. Now, last survivor. No more scheming, no more running. Thankful forever. You lived 'cause of them. And an experience so invaluable. Use this as their excuse, and then it's your own strength. For this poem, I was thinking about someone being abused, but the zombie apocalypse kind of happens, and now you're thankful for that experience because, ironically, it is what saved you. You had already built in a cautiousness to you, had prepared yourself to be hurt, know what pain is. So when danger kind of intensifies, it's like, whatever. But more than anything, I wanted the poem to be about changing your perspective about what happened, and maybe then one could live more prouder about it rather than feeling like blaming yourself for it, and hopefully empowering others or preventing it being done to others. Here's my next poem titled Inside. Come in. Everyone is welcomed. I haven't fixed anything yet. I'd offer you tea, but there's no such thing here. Just some juice. You don't need to lock the door. You don't need to close it at all. I'm glad you made yourself at home, snuggled deep in the corner, with a grin on your face. Tell me, how are you? I like to know if my guest knows who they are. Not everyone tells me every beep. You're confused. I know. I want you to understand. Trust me, I'm getting to it. Aren't you happy? There's tea and coffee, no more juice. The place is spotless, almost empty. My place isn't timber, it's made of bricks. So no heavy winds think to knock and bite more than they can swallow. I was always in control in who comes in. Oh, sorry, I'll reread that last line. I was always in control in who comes in. For this piece, I kind of just wanted to do like a distorted narrative, how you might originally be someone who doesn't mind making friends, but then once you let in certain people, you kind of find out that you actually need to be careful about who you're bringing into your life, and that setting caution changes you in several ways, so you just don't know how many defenses it will take to reduce the chances of being a victim to someone's scheme. There's also a little tidbit that I wanted to add on this poem about the three little pigs and the wolf, kind of like in its metaphorical way. Hopefully you get that. The next three poems are inspired by shows that I've watched and no one seems to understand the weight of the story, so it's just my way of letting people into the world in hopefully more easier to understand way. The first piece is called Possess. With a force outside the books, you took me out. I kept my eyes shut. They were swinging in my ears. I love you. With a pat in the back, a soft touch on my lips, there was never force. It was all in my head. Only two of us. One of us. Number one. The one holding reason. With the troublemaker at the bottom. Wondering who's diluting the mirror into a tangy minty taste with a hint of blood in order to have eyes that can lull me to sleep and make a royal or pirate jealous. I chose you by my side. All that really matters. The relationship in this one was an iffy one. It's honestly laughable too. The actor, whom I strongly believe was portraying a manipulative character, thought the character he was doing was a green flag. And if you don't know what a green flag is, it means he was the best person ever. Raised with healthy environment. Everything he was doing was great. And I mean, in their perspective, objectively speaking, they were trying to heal and support an ex-boyfriend who was struggling to connect with people, and his current boyfriend isn't struggling with that same issue. He wasn't struggling at all. So there wasn't anything to worry about. He told his boyfriend where he was and with whom, so there really shouldn't have been an issue. If anything, the problem was that his boyfriend didn't trust him, but those words fell short when he allowed his ex-boyfriend to kiss him. And regardless of the situation, an ex-boyfriend should not be kissing someone in a relationship. Between the two of them, they know and said the kiss was allowed because there are no feelings between us. Everything was patched up the moment they broke up. His boyfriend, the troublemaker, because he was always throwing punches at his ex for being too close and caring too much about him. And he didn't really like that. This treatment kind of made him feel insecure that he might lose him at any moment to his ex-boyfriend. The only form of consolation he had from him was, "The moment I chose you, no one else can compare." That excuse holds no weight if they ever decided to break up, in my personal opinion. More times than I can count, as a watcher of the show, the troublemaker boyfriend was left stranded after trying to argue for his side. He often was the one who came back to apologize to him. The one causing the stress only thought about his own view of the situation and felt a disagreement occurring between his current boyfriend. The troublemaker one was childish. At the very end of the show, we saw the troublemaker just accept the situation for what it was, which is just, it just felt like he was disregarding his own feelings. And also by that time, the ex-boyfriend already had found himself a lover, so like whatever he was worrying about was no longer there. So it just felt like the problem kind of got left up into the air. I wanted to explain that whole ordeal in the poem, but that's, if there was more discussion to it, that's something for later. For the next poem, it's from the same drama. This time it takes on the ex-boyfriend's younger brother love story, and I titled this one Smile. First my mother, then my brothers left me alone, thinking it was too hard to connect. I forgot to wipe my tears and smile. But in the end, seeing how easy it was to handle me, not needing much, being understanding and capable meant they could ignore me. Still, upsetting or worrying them is worst. So, smile. From an option to a demand, eventually expectation. Smile and spread it. If you opened the door, wasn't a thank you given? If I asked, "How are you?" aren't you supposed to ask back? Even on gloomy days when I don't know what to say, let me in your life. Let me in your life when everyone's needing their space and solving their problems on their own. Not liking me is my problem. My friendly smile wasn't enough. My open wallet wasn't enough. My time wasn't enough. My help wasn't enough. If you knew what you wanted, it'll make my life easier to do what you desire. Sorry for figuring you out before you did. But it pained me when you brushed me away because you didn't know why I was being nice. And now I'm rejecting you, for giving you the wrong idea. Cross my heart, never meant any harm. Poor old my smiles. Say the word, go from Earth to Venus. No more tears, call me in distress. Petals and voices all around, but never enough. Heart is hollow. But there was no welcome mat. I intruded, didn't treat me like one. Yes, unaware of my invitation, glad my feet moved. As always, my feelings you protected without me realizing. That's why. Smile. So, I'm sure you can guess what the last poem and this poem, it's not a happy-go-lucky story. There was a thorny road to get to the happy ending, and this, but I think it goes well with my philosophy of life, that you can't achieve happiness without a little bit of pain. In the poem, the parents got divorced, and the children custody got split to two with the father and one with the mother. I think the bond between the parents and children to be really amazing. It can be both heartbreaking and heartwarming. In my life, adults always say, as they are the oldest ones, they should be listened to not ask questions, and they know what they're doing. They experience more, which is where the ideology came from, but I think that only applies to things that adults should do. Adults should teach how to cook, read, write, laugh, cry, talk, and all of that. There's a line from another show with healthy parents that said parents should be there for when their children look back and want some support. The second thing is giving an unconditional love. That means you shouldn't express love to someone only when they do something for you. That doesn't mean you should love them even when they do something wrong. Anyway, a bit of a tangent. Throughout the divorce, neither parent asked their kids what it is they wanted, and that caused unhealthy coping mechanisms to occur. In this poem, a people-pleasing personality bloomed in which he struggled to get out of. His love interest found it hard to see the difference between him and the other people he treats kindly, so it was constantly questioning why, what, and how am I special? And the love interest let him take his time, although it wasn't hard because he was already different from the start. And if you must know, in the last poem, the ex-boyfriend was kind of like, he didn't really believe in love. So he kind of really liked breaking couples up, or testing them. And also, the show is called Perfect 10-Liners, available on YouTube. Now, onto my last poem, called Accentatou Gli Apparecchiare. It's Italian title, and I'll explain later. Impossible reach, once at beach. Avoid buzzing streets and zeal. Appetite for worlds and deer. Exchanges kept in cozy corners. Always had us leaving wonders. Memories like a magnet chain. Made fighting logic in vain. Spotlight under each other. Seasoned for one another. Sizzling in vanilla weathers, can't stop fluttering feathers. Your casual endeavors, plates with crumbs transform. No past to mourn, no more heavy adorn. Glee in dark streets to a place to keep. Me, your mighty honesty, lip service and menu. Picked doubt before you knew, picked love after sea. Space cleared, two form, two stars, one's worldly. Time fighting, shared meals, debris purifying, questions aligning, embrace sky before completely lost. Patiently nurture love, tasting paradise, become somebody's someone. For this poem, I'm sure we've all heard about this person is the luckiest person alive. They must have saved the kingdom in their past life, blah blah blah, for them to be dating this supreme being. In this poem, it takes those thoughts and says, well, what are you bringing to the table? This table is fragile, so the only thing it can hold are concepts, abstract ideas, words, thoughts, feelings, and stuff. No actual food, which is where the title comes from. Accentuado means intensely, highlighting, stressing, any of those synonyms, and apparecchiare means to lay the table. Originally, the title was Shape. It was more like a visual poem than it is about spoken or written. So I kind of wanted to lay out the words in the poem like a star. Well, some of them like a star, and then some of them 4 words forming a star, 5 words with a plate, and the main dish at the middle. And I wanted it to be abstract as well, the whole poem in total, so anyone can relate to it. But then I decided I wanted to refine the concept. At first I was going with bon appetit, or mise en place, which means thank you for the food, and everything set in place. But again, I wanted it to relate to them. The chef's cuisine that they cooked and learned was Italian and not French. So I had to go on a Google search for every single terminology that chefs might use. And then I found so I mean they don't actually say the whole title together. Um, so in my search I kind of learned a little bit of Italian and just mixed them together. Um, there's two people sitting on this table, and I just wanted to write those two distinct personalities, what they liked in general about the other, and how they approached the relationship. Then it became about what their relationship is, just one with each other, no one else, and that no one should judge it because it is not their own. People in question learned to live by it for each other and enjoy it. Finally, I wanted to add a piece of advice to the readers that you shouldn't feel the need to rush into love or that things should be perfect when you start a relationship. It's more about facing the unknown than known. It doesn't look it, but this poem is basically a rant to my sister. I was watching a show called To My Star, which is what it's inspired by. It's a Korean drama with a male and male relationship between an outgoing actor and a gloomy, reserved Italian chef. The whole show was about their close proximity, manifesting these romantic feelings for each other, and the chef basically being unable to accept that as reasonable. He was also afraid of holding back the actor. His boss was blackmailing the actor for money to clear his debts, and his parents were blamed for scamming people in his hometown. So he also wasn't doing well as a profession or in his career as a chef, as he didn't study abroad. And in Korea, if you studied a little bit more in your field, then you have more credibility, I guess. Or that speaks a lot more than the taste of your dish. Um, and he's also a bit picky about how to manage things. He'd rather let the food do the talking than explain why someone should try out what he serves. So besides the credibility, that was a double whammy. The actor loves making friends, and sometimes those friends are underrated, pouring both green bills and personality. So they decided to take advantage of him. Along that, his parents never seem to ask him how he's doing and incline more into telling him how to act, how to talk, how to behave, etc., making him feel like he doesn't really matter to them. So while all of this is happening, when it's just the two of them, they just go out to play basketball, make some dinner, and watch TV or movie. Both of them would rather solve the problem on their own than talk about it. Of course, when the problem is brought to their attention, they do step in. In summary, their circumstances kind of shape their personality, which diminishes the cute, sweet, romantic moments that my sister might have been expecting moments between them. But despite that, I, as a viewer at least, should still be able to understand that they are in love, and there doesn't always have to be a reason. Sometimes a reason springs up as you continue to live on with them. I tried adding both of their professions into the poem, and as the show was called To My Star, the theme song had a lot of space themed words. So when I was thinking about how that relates to the show, I came to my own conclusion, and that is because I feel like they found each other to be something only they could dream about without them realizing they had always been waiting for someone to reach out to them. In passing, they might have made a wish to a shooting star, now they're each other's whole world. Which is like cute. So cute. But it's just me who finds it cute. But I'm hoping that's not just me. But I'll close out from this podcast. Thank you for listening to the Hand Class Podcast. This was Ty, and I'll see you with more stories at a later time. Bye.